So let's talk a little bit about why this is designed the way it is. So I'm a physical therapist and a strength coach, and I work with high caliber athletes. I've worked with Olympic and pro athletes, but I also work with grandmas and moms and dads. And universally, I find myself teaching squat patterns over and over to everybody from all different levels, because I think there's things that we can tweak or pick up, or maybe we just need to completely develop their squat pattern from the very start. And I found myself using a similar pattern of teaching over and over, and I would use my hands. And so as someone would squat, I would kind of block their knee from going too far forward, and how far forward was individual. And then I would have them come out and try to meet my hand on the outside to get their knees out to allow the depth of their squat and to get their knee in a good position. And so that's kind of where the design of the SquatGuide came from, is that I kept doing this on one side of a person and then doing this on the other side of the person, but then the other side wouldn't look great. And I also couldn't get the kind of step back visual and look at their spine and everything, because I would be down in position working on their knee position and their foot position, and I couldn't really tell or get great perspective on how they looked as a whole. And so over time, we came together and we came up with a good design here that I think does that, so we can kind of take a step back as the coach or therapist and watch the individual train their squat pattern on their own. So what we did is we designed this to address the needs of most people. And most people, as they squat, they go into what we call a medial collapse, or that their knees go too far in, their feet dive in, and their hips go into internal rotation. So most people, as they squat, they may think they're doing it well, but they might get forward on their toes, their knees might dive in, and they have soft hips and a rounded spine. And so that's what we primarily see with people who are inefficient at squatting or have some mobility issues. And so this was designed to correct that primary dysfunction that we saw over and over and over with athletes, with moms, dads, young kids, and even the elite athlete. So again, we're talking about our knee guides here, and we set those at knee height just so they give a cue for the user to meet. If the user goes into a quad dominant strategy, meaning that they load their knees first, they're going to immediately run into these front knee guides, and that's going to make them hinge back into their hips and prevent them from going too far forward. So it's immediate feedback right away if they're using a poor pattern to squat. It just blocks them right away. Now, these outside knee guides are important as well, because as we go down, we want to at least maintain contact. If my knee touches this outside rail, that outside rail is lined up perfectly with the outside of my foot. So if I'm making contact here, I know my knee is at least over my foot and not collapsing in. And that'll give me a good arch of my foot, it'll make my hips more active, and it'll keep my knees from diving in again. So as I go down, if I'm not touching these outside rails or these outside knee guides, I know I'm potentially going into a medial collapse. And that has all sorts of ramifications from pain and dysfunction, but also from a performance aspect, you're not gonna be squatting as much weight as you could. So as we go down, like we said in the initial instructions, the idea is to at least maintain contact here. If you just simply maintain contact and don't push out at all, I know you're in the minimally safe position as you squat down. And again, you're also not traveling too far forward, and that's really going to help you load your hips as you squat. Now, as we get deeper and deeper into our squat, for some people, it's going to be advantageous to push those hips out to allow more room for our pelvis to dive between our femur, okay? And then this will give us feedback again. We can look down to see if we're equally out or if our feet are coming up. So that's kind of the basic premise of the design here, is that these front guides block us from going too far forward and send us back into our hips. And then the outside guides allow us to stay in a minimally safe position.